The road stretched out before me like a ribbon of darkness, disappearing into the inky blackness of the night. My fingers gripped the steering wheel, knuckles turning white as I navigated the desolate highway. The only company I had was the rhythmic hum of the engine and the occasional flicker of a distant street lamp. I glanced at the dashboard clock, 2:34 a.m. What on earth had possessed me to take this shortcut through the woods at such an ungodly hour? I had always been wary of driving at night, a nagging unease that had been instilled in me since childhood. My grandmother used to tell me stories of creatures that roamed the darkness, things that hid in the shadows and fed on the fear of unsuspecting travelers. I had always dismissed her tales as the ramblings of an old woman lost in superstition, but as the trees closed in around me, I couldn't help but remember her words. The forest seemed to come alive at night, its natural symphony of chirping crickets and rustling leaves now a haunting chorus. My headlights carved a path ahead, the trees casting long, eerie shadows that danced alongside the car. I tried to shake off my growing unease, focusing on the white lines of the road and the faint illumination they provided. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of movement. My heart skipped a beat as I turned my head, peering into the darkness. There, just beyond the reach of my headlights, something moved. My foot instinctively eased off the gas pedal as I strained my eyes, trying to make out what it was. A figure emerged from the shadows, stumbling onto the road. It was a man, haggard and disheveled, his clothes torn and dirty. I slammed on the brakes, heart racing as the car skidded to a stop just inches from him. His face was a mask of terror, eyes wide and wild, like a hunted animal. Without thinking, I rolled down my window. "Hey, are you okay?" I called out, my voice quivering slightly. The man's breathing was ragged, his voice a hoarse whisper. "You have to help me. They're coming." "Who's coming?" I asked, my gaze darting nervously into the surrounding darkness. But before he could answer, a chorus of eerie cries echoed through the woods. They were not like any animal sounds I had ever heard, a mix of haunting wails and guttural growls that sent shivers down my spine. The man's eyes went wide with fear as he looked past me, his voice trembling. "They're here." I followed his gaze, heart pounding in my chest, and saw them. Figures emerged from the trees, their forms twisted and grotesque. Their eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and their movements were jerky and unnatural. My breath caught in my throat as I realized. These were the creatures my grandmother had warned me about. Instinct kicked in, and I slammed my foot on the gas pedal, the tires screeching as I sped away from the nightmarish scene. The man ran alongside the car, his desperate cries echoing in my ears. But I dared not slow down. The forest seemed to close in around me, the trees crowding the road as if they were trying to trap me within their clutches. I stole a glance in the rearview mirror, my heart nearly stopping as I saw the figures chasing after me. Their movements were swift and unnatural, like marionettes being pulled by invisible strings. They were gaining on me, their grotesque forms illuminated by the eerie glow of my taillights. I pushed the car harder, praying that the engine wouldn't give out on me. The road seemed to stretch on forever, a nightmarish loop that had no end. Panic threatened to overwhelm me, and I could feel their presence closing in, their malevolent energy seeping into every inch of the car. And then, up ahead, I saw a faint glimmer of light. My heart soared as I recognized the outline of a gas station. I pulled in, the car skidding to a stop, and stumbled out, my legs unsteady beneath me. The figures halted just beyond the edge of the light, their glowing eyes fixed on me. I rushed into the gas station, my breath coming in ragged gasps as I leaned against the counter. The attendant behind the counter looked at me with concern. "You all right, buddy?" I could only nod, my words failing me as I glanced out the window. The figures were nowhere to be seen, as if they had vanished into thin air. As I caught my breath, I realized that the stories my grandmother had told me were more than just tales meant to frighten. There was something out there, something ancient and malevolent that roamed the night. And as I drove away from that gas station, the events of that night etched into my memory. I knew that I would never view the darkness the same way again.